Hello lads and ladies, and welcome back for another video on the channel. It's the end of February, just over 2 months to go of this crazy EFL League 2 season. Tonight we are joined by Mr. Jack Kershaw, the analyst himself. How are we, mate? How are you doing? I've just asked you the same question twice. There you are.
Yeah, how are you doing? I'm great.
I was waiting for that. I'm good, thanks. To you. That's what I normally get back. You can't get much back out of this man. Yeah, very good. Tonight we're going to go through all 24 teams' recent form in the league to over the last month or so as well, and have a look at where they stand in the division. Granted, this is filmed before Barrow and Carlisle has kicked off. I will confirm this is before Barrow and Carlisle has kicked off. The last time Carlisle didn't have a gaffer, and 36 hours later they appointed a new gaffer. We're going to start off with the bottom of the table, but before we do so, make sure you drop a like, make sure you drop a subscription down below. It does help the channel out more than you would believe going forward. Carlisle United then, well, it's been a pretty bit of a horrible season for them. And February hasn't been much better. It started off with a 5-1 defeat at home to Swindon, which saw Mike Williamson lose his job. Mark Hughes has come in, and what's followed is a 2-1 defeat at Grimsby, which they went a goal up. Grimsby did absolutely dominate them in terms of other metrics, a game that Mr. Jack Kershaw has actually watched back. A 1-0 defeat away at Newport, and then 0-0 draws at home to Colchester and Gillingham. Could have been a win and could have been a loss in both of those. They've not won in 6, 1 win in 10, losing 7 of which, just 3 wins in their last 25, 2 wins in 17, 1 win in 10. They've got over 30 players in the squad, Mark Hughes has said in recent times. If it was based on XG, which Mike Williamson loved to mention, it would be actually 16th as well. And Carlisle are winners in their last 6, failing to score in any of their last 3. They last went 4 without a goal back in March and / April 2023. Worrying times for the Cumbrians.
Yeah, but I do think they have improved under Mark Hughes, and it's interesting because people were wondering actually how Mark Hughes might play. I'm pretty surprised that he's gone away from maybe a possession-based brand of football, because obviously of the sort of personnel that obviously Matt Williamson brought in January. But then at the end, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you play as long as you get the results. You're going to be fine, and ultimately, if results are anything to go by, and any club needs the results, it's ultimately Carlisle at the bottom of the league. But yeah, so he's gone away from the possession-based brand. Like you said, I watched the game against Grimsby, and although Grimsby had 26 or 27 shots compared to Carlisle's 6, Carlisle had a few big chances, but the last 3 games they haven't scored a goal. But the expected goals, and I think the statistics have been better. Although like I said, they haven't been the possession-based side that they were under Williamson. They're creating more, and a player that I think has stepped up and deservedly got his contract extension is Kadeem Harris.
They're currently on 23 points. They are drawing games instead of losing. I guess I know they've lost 19, being the most in the division. Mark Hughes, his style has changed, like you said. Unlike Mike Williamson, where he wasn't working, he was stubborn, and they weren't getting the results. And that style of football has to win because I think it's so bedane and boring. We talk about draws. Weirdly enough, Morecambe aren't drawing enough. They've only got 5 draws to the name. And this month, they won 2 Lancashire derbies against Fleetwood Town. Thank you very much. Atkins and Stanley also at home, but also 4 defeats, which is disappointing because in some games you can get points. And look, they're 23rd in the XG table as well. Morecambe have each lost their last 5 league away games now, so they're not winning games away from their own turf. On their own turf, yes, results have improved. But however, it's not a great turf, is it? That's one of the worst pitches I've ever seen. They need to slowly pick up points because time are running out for them, because Tranmere have just recently sacked Nigel Atkins. You would think a change there would possibly help. That change did happen, though, Jack, this week. And after a run of 6 wins all season, not 1 in 10, losing 7 of which, 2 wins in 19, Tranmere have actually failed to win any of their last 7 league games played on a Saturday, losing 5 of them. It's been a pretty horrible period for them. They've only scored 23 goals all season. A 1-0 defeat to relegation strugglers Atkins and Stanley the other day, which if they'd have won that game, they could have leapfrogged Stanley. Now Stanley 5 clear of their opposition Tranmere Rovers. What do you think of this, Sakin? Because I know you were quite fond of Mr. Atkins.
Yeah, I think people know that I was quite the opposite of that actually, and it seemed like obviously, although Tranmere didn't pick up a result in February, and obviously the last result is 4th of January, which is going to be 2 months coming up to this Saturday, and it just seemed like Adkins has no answers. And I think at the start of the season, me and you have discussed plenty about this. We didn't buy into the hype at Tranmere, and I think people are looking at Adkins' record. Southampton and I think Sheffield United, where he got them up. And you can't. For me, it's all good. A manager having the previous background of getting promotions, but you've got to also take into account the sort of previous factors as well as the present factors, and ultimately he weren't getting results. I mean, against Fleetwood, we weren't great. We probably made them look better, and it weren't down to tactics. It was just down to the players wanting to, play for the badge and just start, trying to pick up points and just grind out a result. And then against MK Dons, you get a draw, which on the face of it, MK Dons have got better quality in their squad, but ultimately they're suffering a bit too. Notts County, it seemed like they put up a fight against Notts County, but then when they scored, it was too late because Notts scored twice in the 80-plus minute. And then I think, if they didn't sack Adkins after getting beat at home against Accrington, who were only 5 points above them, then, that's warning signs if you're not sacking him there, because ultimately he should have been gone 3 months ago. And obviously, and I saw your TikTok, you said that, he's a harmless bloke. He likes to have a joke. He likes to say something funny, but at the end of the day, nice guys in football like we're doing Mark Williamson, it don't work like that to stay in your job.
It doesn't, and his quotes were funny when they were winning games. And you're thinking gap, and now you're thinking, what is he saying? What am I listening to? And it did become like that. Look, he did a good job when he first took over, but I think he lost 34 of 72 matches, which is very, very poor. It really,
Who do you think they'll get?
I think that Andy Crosby came in for a reason. I think that he came in knowing that you look at, Mark Bonner is probably there to potentially, I don't think in his mind he'll expect it, but they've probably got the next two Cambridge managers in the building now. And I think that they always go for these types of profiles. Like Chris Beach at Fire was another one that I think that Crosby might take it over for the next month, see how they do, let the takeover happen. If he does well, he get a contract to the end of the year, then the reset as a football club. For me, I think Dino Manria will be desperate to get back in football. I know how hungry he's been for other jobs, that he wanted to get in. I think that he'd do a good job. I honestly think this Tranmere squad's a poor squad. He's got promotion winners, but they're all older profiles. There's no real X factor. There's no one in that squad. And Patrick, now and again, that I think really excites me. It's a bottom 6, bottom 8 squad, in my opinion. It's better than it is performing, don't get me wrong. But I was in playoffs at the start of the end. It bamboozled me that the lost Rob Apter, who was a spark last year. You take the X factor out, it's like a bottle of Coke with no fizz. That's what it is. And it's like, it's outdated, I think. And they're an outdated manager. They have no energy in the side and they have no attacking output, but they are in a position to stay in the division. Harrogate won 1, drew 1, lost 2 to Bromley and Bradford. Look, Bromley went on a good little bit of form in February. Bradford, we know about all their qualities, especially at home. Beat Swindon at home. Good pair of them. They are 7 clear of that drop zone now. Massive win a couple of weeks ago against Swindon. Again, a quiet month for them, but 13 games to go. Another year in the Football League. It could be for them. Accrington Stanley is an interesting one. Ash Hunter, former Fleetwood man, started 8 games for Stanley this year. They've won 4 of which, drawn 1, lost twice. Without him, won 4, drawn 8, lost 13. I was aware that there's been times where he's not been at the football club, been injured, been out the side as well. But they are a much better side with Ash Hunter in it, and they need to start winning. The last 3 victories have actually come away from home. They are a side that are very much rigid in the formation and can break, with the pace that they've got. They dragged into that relegation scrap. They were just 4 points adrift at the weekend. Beating Tranmere now 7 points clear, gives them a cushion. And now you're only, 2 behind Gillingham to bring them back in it. Big win for them. They needed it as well. On Gillingham, Jack, 3 wins in 24. They've drawn 8 and lost 14. No win in 13 matches. The last victory came on the 14th of December, nearly 2.5 months ago. 20th in terms of the XG table. And over the last 114 League Two games, they scored 109. And they're not getting the look at the moment. The bar penalty decisions are going against them. Where they were getting a look at the start of the year, Morecambe winning 1-0, and everything was going rosy for them. Everything was kind of just going in their way. And it's a look you get when you're at the top of the table. But now they're losing, they're not getting any look at all. They're not really showing much quality, really, are they?
No, but also I think it's a bit like Tranmere at the start of the season where Gillingham are winning games by 1 or 2 individual moments. They weren't creating enough in the games. He just took it in moments, and I think it's a bit like Tranmere. It weren't sustainable at the start of the season, and obviously that's been the downfall. But you're thinking, obviously, with the Coleman appointment, if there's any manager that was available to give a squad that's really depleted a kick up the backside, he's probably the best manager to do so. I think it was against Barrow that he said, that's the worst performance that he's ever been a part of. And then they get a half-fought draw away at Walsall. They drew against Crewe. They go up to Carlisle and nick a point. But then when, I think you'll agree, in the first 40 minutes, I think Gillingham had, a few good chances against Fleetwood. And then when they went up, we then got back. And, is that a mentality thing that they go up in the 40th minute, 5 minutes after, just before half time? They don't maybe switch on. No one comes out to Mark Helm to block the shot. And ultimately, instead of going ahead into half time, they're only drawing 1-1. If you're thinking of someone to get a tune out of a depleted squad, if you're wanting someone to uplift the side and get wins, and John Coleman's your man. But, like you said, when they haven't won since the 14th of December, which was against Harrogate, it's alarm bells ringing. And realistically, they've got, you could call it a 6-pointer against Morecambe, really, on Saturday. And Morecambe are resolute away from home, and they have dug in some games, and they've got a win. So, it's a big game that Gillingham needs to get 3 points in. Or I don't think they'll go down, but when you haven't won since the 14th of December, you need to take games like Morecambe really, really, really seriously.
Mid-table now, really, getting away from it. We'll try and get through this period as quickly as we can. Barrow, 3 wins, 4 losses under Andy Wing. 3 wins from 4 at home, only losing to Doncaster. Really good Doncaster side, especially away. They've only won twice in 16 this year away from home, yet to win away under Andy Wing. 12 in XG, yet they sit 5 or 6 places below that. They've conceded 39 before the game against Carlisle tonight from an XG of 32. Again, creature of their own downfall. They look like a team that season over a little bit. Their fans will get to the end of the year. As will MK Dons. They've only won twice in 2025. Harrogate and Chesterfield. That was even a last-minute win in that Harrogate one as well. 2 draws, 7 defeats, 8 points collected from a possible 33. Lost 4 of the last 5. MK Dons have actually failed to win any of their last 5 league games. Last enjoying a longer run between September and October 2023, where they went 9 games without a win. What do you reckon's happened to this MK Dons side? Because they won 5 on the spin back in November.
No, and like you said, they were scoring at least 3 goals in every match. But maybe are you looking at that and thinking it's a new manager bounce? Because, I don't know what else to put it down as, because, we think highly of Scott Lindsay, obviously what he did with Crowley last season. And ultimately, to play his brand of football, I think he's just more than possession. you need pressers in there, which ultimately he's got Danilo Warsi in there, but also maybe you need an outlet. And I didn't really recall his Crawley side being too dominant with the ball. He has got players that he had at Crawley last season. He brought Warsi in January. He's got Kelly. He's got Maguire. He's also got Jay Williams, who they've also brought in January. But I just think for MK that they're not creating enough, and they scored 2 goals against Walsall and still lost the game, but they had 6 shots there. And if you're gonna try and ultimately be quality over quantity, you need to be tight at the other end of the pitch, which obviously MK Dons aren't really doing. And when they played Fleetwood, it was too sideways. There was no one really taking gambles going forward.
Newport County won 4 on the bounce in February and only conceded once. What's followed is 2 defeats on the spin without scoring a goal. Newport have lost just 1 of their last 7 league games, keeping 4 clean sheets in that time. A good period for Nelson Yardim's side. Just before we were calling, could they be caught up in a relegation battle? However, a really good season for them when you consider everybody put them bottom. 40 points now, 14 clear. You think a couple more victories will keep them in the division. And they've actually made Rodney Parade a difficult place to go. They've won half the games there. And exactly what you wanted from a side like that. Swindon won 5 of the last 7 matches, won 7, from a possible 16 at home. Only won 3 away. 7 draws, 7 defeats. Holloway in all comps, 11 wins out of 24. About to sign a new contract, I believe, as well. In a bit of disciplinary issues at the weekend as well, but still done a good job as manager. You think about what he's done in the last 2.5 months since we went there as Fleetwood. He's done really well. That the fan base are now on side with him after he called him out at Bradford. I thought that doesn't look good, and the fan base was so against him on his 1,000th game, really. And with his quirkiness, he's kind of seemed to get the football club ticking, forgetting about their owners for now while they're winning games of football. They have gone down a little bit in the table recently, only because teams are basically just caught up on games. But a good period for them. Chesterfield, Jack, 1-1, lost 3 in February. Did lose key players like Berry and Mark Hamdy, to name a couple. Loads of injuries this season has just haunted their season. In the bottom half now, with games in hand, it's been a really difficult one. I said they'd be probably win 1, lose 1, draw 1, mid-table. It's a really good season for them when you think of the injuries they've had. First season back in the Football League.
With the injuries they've got, maybe, you're looking at the recruitment and thinking, Shay Dunkley's in that squad, Paddy Madden, Tom Naylor has had to be called upon in different positions. He's getting on a bit, and you've got players out. Well, you've got players that have been injured, and they're older players, so maybe that comes down to the recruitment model. And also Carl McFadzean, he brought him in January, and then he's out after 2 games. Also, Janoy Danassian, he picked up a injury. So, yeah, maybe the recruitment's a bit of a downfall for Chesterfield this season. I think, for Chesterfield, they'll be wanting to push next season, probably get some more younger and vibrant players in there. Hopefully keep on to Armando Dobra, because he's signed for another 2.5 years. I think they've done a good job to be mid-table.
Fleetwood Town is mid-table as you can get. 11 wins, 11 draws, 11 defeats. Before Pete Wild came into the football club, Fleetwood have actually had 21 points from 19 games, averaging 1.21 points per game. Since 1 game without Pete Wild, don't get me wrong, 18 points from 13 or 21 points from 14. Now, Pete Wild bangs on about 1.5 points a game in training and at the training ground all the time. That'll be a top 8, top 9 side. Where he's been with Barrow, just a little bit more to get you into the playoffs. That is exactly where Fleetwood are at. Implementing a side that are difficult to beat. It's been a hard watch at times, but granted, he's without his first choice goalkeeper, one of his main centre-backs in Zet Medley, attacking prowess midfielder Matty Virtue that had 8 goals this year, and star striker Ronan Coughlin. The spine of the team, he's honest, he's a breath of fresh air. Type of guy that he just gives me the vibe that he goes down to the local on a Sunday with his lad, packet of pork scratchings, has a bit of a grub, like a mixed grill, watches Super Sunday with a pint, Coke for the lad, and just chills out. He's a proper down-to-earth lad, and what we didn't have with Lee Johnson, I'm a big believer in this north/south divide, that Lee Johnson didn't get the football club, didn't get the didn't get the culture. I think Pete Wild gets exactly what it's about. Since that period, since Salford, he's never really had a full week in training, and we know what a full week in training can do. You can implement the non-negotiables, like the likes of Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp and Martin Patterson would do week in, week out.
Yeah, and after the Port Vale game, he's actually got a few full weeks of training, so that'll be all right to not keep going Saturday, Tuesday, because we know the small squad that Fleetwood went with at the start of the season with Charlie Adam, but then with some January recruitments, it sort of made the bench look more promising when we've obviously wanted to make changes. And I just think Pete Wild is everything maybe that Charlie Adam weren't, he'll be flexible with the formations that we've played. He just try and keep everything on the floor. He'll want to make us scrappy. He wants to change different systems. He'll bring a midfielder off for a striker. He'll bring a midfielder off for a defender. Change it that way. And we're definitely more hard to beat. We're definitely scrappy, like you said. At times, it is a hard watch, but I know when he went into Barrow, he said the first season he wanted to make Barrow hard to beat, and then the second season is about implementing what he wants to do, and trying to play a bit more football and adapting to the modern game. Which so far, coming into the Fleetwood side, he has got players who can play football, but then ultimately, like you said, they're not his players, and you can see the type of players that he will want to bring in, like Harrison Neal. As much as he's a crunching tackler there, I think we've also got a really good personality in the midfield and dressing room. You can see all the time that he's trying to uplift the players. He's trying to lead by example and setting the tone in the midfield. Dropping onto first and second balls. And like I said, this season it hasn't helped with losing the two top goal scorers. Obviously, Ryan Graydon is now hopefully getting a run in because there's been a lot of pressure there for a lad who was brought in as a winger. He, gives 110% in each game. You can't fault his effort. And, like we both said, he's got a good profile. Just needs to start adding goals to his game, which ultimately he's doing. And like I said about the points tally, Wild said that we missed out by 2 points last month. So, looking at March, we've got Notts County at home, we've got Vale at home, we've also got MK Dons away. If you're looking at that run, we've turned up against the big sides, and with a week in training, I'm sure Wow will want to get that 2 points in this month because there are plenty of games to play.
My underdogs are doing well. 4 wins, 4 draws, unbeaten in 8. Now, Colchester have actually lost as many games as Notts County, Wimbledon, Bradford, 2 less than Doncaster, only 1 more than Port Vale, only 1 more on top of the table, Walsall. Their issue is they've drawn 16. You turn 5 of those draws into victories, you're in the playoffs. And I know, ifs, buts, and maybes are so much different, but Cowell is starting to implement something special there. And granted, they've got a really good squad. Edward, Payne's fantastic, Teddy Bishop. McDonnell, I think, is one of the best players in his position. I think his stats are unbelievable in terms of ball repossessions and getting his foot in there, making passes forward, and again getting a nick on. Lyle Taylor's nearly in double figures as well.
Samson Tavide, are we gonna speak about him?
Tavide, I know you're a massive fan of. I think that he's fantastic. He scored recently against Wimbledon as well. He's only scored 6 goals, but if you were to tell me a player that what he does for the team, 6 goals, but he offers you this, he's one of those players that you need to watch in person to see what he offers to a side. He's fantastic, and he's a joy to watch. He's fantastic. Talk to me a bit on Cheltenham, though, Jack. Again, Cheltenham and Bromley will come to because they're very much in similar positions. They're on the same points. Bromley have played a game more. Cheltenham, a good season for them. They've had a lot of injuries. They've relied on a few players from last year, a few players from this year. A bit of a reset the football club. But again, character shown the other night. They beat Newport 3-0, beat Barrow 3-2.
Yeah, because they've got some, fun and young and vibrant threat up top. Ethan Archer. They've got Thomas on the right, who's sort of, wants to carry the ball forward, cutting on his left and trying to have a shot. And you had Joel Colwell from the summer to January. Obviously, he's been recalled, but it was a massive part of them. And yeah, it just seems like they were going to sack Mike. Well, no, sorry. It seems like since that they were, fans maybe wanted Flynn out and maybe wanted the club to sack Flynn. He's, sort of not flourished under pressure, but he sort of got the lads playing how realistically Cheltenham should be playing. I know I labelled them, I think, 18th for my predictions, or maybe even 20th, because I looked at the squad. I didn't really know much about Archer. Jude Boyd got injured early, so I didn't really think what this young side could do. But ultimately, they are playing some really nice football. Scoring goals. The last 3 games in February, 3 goals past Barrow. Cheltenham, I think they've got some really good young threat going into next season.
Michael Cheek at Bromley labelled himself. He was surprised at how, ducked towards his found this division, but a goal scorer is a goal scorer at any level. Without his goals, where would he be? Would be interesting. 16 goals this year. What he offers off the ball is fantastic, and he's absolutely loving it. Replied to your tweet the other day, didn't he?
Yeah, because I had a Q&A and someone asked me 3 players in League Two that I'd like to have a beer with, and I put Michael Cheek down. And he actually said he's more of a cup of tea man than having a beer, which I actually said that he played in non-league most of his career. Surely he's having a pint at half time, but yeah, he replied with having a cup of tea. But like you said, Cheek, he's brilliant. 16 goals. He averages a goal every 2 games, which is phenomenal. And Bromley, they've got some really nice threats elsewhere, which I don't think people might give credit for.
Danny Imray, Ben Thompson, fantastic footballers. Can I just say as well, have a beer with? This man is 17 years of age. So this man won't be having pints of beer, be sticking to cups of tea, thank you. Yeah.
The question got asked to me.
Yeah, but you should reply. Sorry, I can't drink beer. I want a Coca-Cola. That should be the underage drinking is a crime, and I'm pretty sure nobody watching this video has ever done such a sin.
Yeah? On the 21st of July, them 3 players, including Michael Cheek, that I said I'd like to have a beer with, they can take me out for a pint on my birthday.
You can, if you like, but I won't be there. That's what they'll be saying right now. Salford, they won 7 out of 8, 8 out of 9 if you include Cheltenham in the cup. Man City beat them 8. Fleetwood beat them. Since that, 4 losses, 3 draws, 1 winning 8. They were 3-0 down against Bromley and somehow drew the game. 9 wins at home, 2 draws, 5 defeats. 4 wins, 7 draws, 5 defeats away. Again, Salford just faded away, but still in contention of a playoff spot. 4 points away. Is going to be the same old story. Salford so close to the playoffs. But again, everybody expected Salford. I think, did you have them in your bottom 2?
Nice to throw me under the bus like this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was speaking to someone else, and he was saying, "Well, they've lost Smith, they've lost, they've cut them
span of the team.
Yeah, they've lost the core of the team, which I get, but they've actually got, when you look at it, a really good squad.
The signing model would actually pull them through, but then
in non-league, and he's never really done it in the football league, has it?
But then I think I forgot, the manager they got in Carl Robinson. I didn't know much about Osama Ashley. He's been great, but there were a few additions where I did think, that's a really good addition, like Negru and Adelican and Fauna. They were the 3 that I looked at as the main ones, and also Kawasi at the start of the season. But then ultimately, Ben Woodburn, sometimes he produces quality, and then Curtis Till, he's been a leader at the back. Shepherd next to him and Gar, but they've been solid. So yeah, I'll hold my hands up and say I massively underestimated this Salford side, attracting really high-profile players to League Two.
Grimsby have won half the home games and half their away games. They've actually won, Kershaw. I'm going to give you a bit of a lesson in math here. 400% more away games than they did last year. So how many away games did they win last year, and how many away games have they won this year?
They won 2 last year. They won 8 this year.
So that's 400 times more, isn't it?
Whatever you say. I can't do the maths on the top of my head.
I'm only trying to help you, boy. I'm only trying to help you. They've won 4 in a row. They've only lost 1 in 7. They've been a joy to watch this year. In terms of XG, actually, sorry to go back, they'd be 10 places worse off. So they are overperforming for what they offer, but they're effective when they're on top. They're scoring goals at key moments, grinding out victories, against Fleetwood, against Doncaster. It was a great victory. And that, I think, turned the momentum of the season. And I think after that game, it was kind of mid-table. And then they maybe just a little bit. I was like Doncaster win, change the narrative for their fans. I think you were a game before thinking if you can get the goal difference. My response was, well, if you keep winning games by a goal, it doesn't matter. Just keep winning games of football. It doesn't matter about your goals. I'm a big believer. Just keep winning. Just keep winning. Just keep sticking 3 points on the board. You don't need to worry about goal difference because your points will get you in there. Joy to watch. 4 wins in a row. It's the longest period that they've had since 1990 in the Football League.
I'm on the David Artell hype train, and I'm not getting off it. I think they're going to sneak that 7th place in the playoffs. So I really think that they'll get in there. Bikwu and Danny Rose this month have really kicked on. Bikwu sort of been, when he started, he's maybe scored 2, but then unfortunately, I think I heard that he was in a car crash actually before the Fleetwood game. That's why he weren't involved. So it was sad to hear because of obviously the run he was going on. But then, you look in the midfield, Curry's a young lad, but his off the ball movement, I think, really opens up the space nicely for Denver Hume, who's got the most assists in the league and created, I think, the 3rd most chances from left wing back, and still has gone really under the radar this season because ultimately, he's not an Aaron Nemain, he's not a Jody Jones, he's not a big hitter in this league. So people have, put him under the radar. McCacker in the midfield, I like. He's, a good technical player. Doug Tharm defends his box well, and next to him, Cameron McJanet. I think he's been a great signing for them. And then they can switch between a 5-back and a 4-back. So Van Folsen's been playing at wing back, but I don't think he's been too bad defensively, to be honest, Van Folsen.
No,
and then, yeah, and then also it's not about defending deeper areas. He can, defend from the front. He can try and press. He can also intervene passes. And Kieran Green, I also like him a lot. He's physical and aggressive from the front. And Grimsby, it's just a feel-good factor about the club because ultimately they are overachieving from the expectations coming into the season. And even Dave Artell said that. We're nowhere near where I think is a perfect League Two side. The perfect League Two side is one that he's labelled as the Crew side in 1920. And he said Grimsby are nowhere near that. So I like the honesty from Dave Artell. I think he's a great guy. He's got a good personality and, he's ultimately, for me, the right person to take Grimsby forward. And I think they will sneak into the playoff spot.
Dave Artell, absolutely. Yeah. Love that man. Crew, again, 13 draws, 7 draws, very similar to Colchester, just won 4 more games basically, and are in the playoffs. And they did go for a period themselves where they were very consistent. A couple of games now where they've been hit and miss. A good win against Barrow at the weekend has responded, but before that, they'd actually lost 3, drawn 3, no winning 6, and they did crumble out the playoffs. Back in, but Grimsby and Salford have games in hand on them. It's going to be very interesting. Port Vale are a football club that I've got a lot of admiration for, and they've had a lot of injuries this year, and they suffered, but they've got a lot of momentum behind them. When Vale Park is rocking, it's rocking. It was rocking when they went 10 unbeaten, and when the results weren't going as well, they still got behind the team, but it felt they were very gettable. Now, all of a sudden, they've just slowly found a switch, found the sparkle, and it seems like they're getting back to winning ways. That win away at Doncaster again seems to be the talking point. Beat Newport at home 3-2 in that great game. Beat Accrington, where Jeff Benham came out and said, they dominate the game. I'm like, what? Did I watch the same bits of the game that you did? Winning 5, drawing to Swindon, 3-3 away from home in that crazy game. Drawing to Chesterfield, 7 unbeaten now. Putting a really good run together. And when Vale Park is rocking, unfortunately, they've drawn a few too many games. I think they've drawn 5 games this year. They've got a really good squad. When they get Tollard in the side, when they get Curtis is outstanding. It's so good to see that he's getting goals now.
He's just a big game player.
He's an absolute shithouse. As simple as that. And I'll say the word. I absolutely love him as well. And Darren Moore came under criticism of you the other day, and I think that he is a manager at times that has relied on a good squad. If he gets his good squad up, it won't matter. And this Vale side 12 months ago was disastrous. It was laughable. They weren't playing for the badge, and it was so tedious to watch. They now actually got something to be proud of. Notts County, they've got some big players out. Austin's been out, McGoldrick's been out, Jody Jones has been out. Relies on Jatta a lot. They've still won half the games, been brilliant away from home, sneaking in on the top 3. They've won 9 of the last 13 games, averaging just under 2 goals per game in that. What's your take on County this year, Jack?
Well, in the new year, they've only lost 2 times, and that was against Walsall when they were on, the momentum, and before Bradford, where the momentum sort of killed. And Port Vale, I thought they dominated the first half. They had a really good chances. I'd say they had 2 or 3 really good ones to go to. 1 or 2 up at the break, and then ultimately they didn't take the chances, and obviously they got beat by Vale. They did 86 goals last season. That is way too much. I think it was only Rotherham who conceded more, and that was 92 in the Championship, and they were rock bottom. Lost Dan Crowley. It doesn't really matter because Matty Palmer's hopefully going to still stay fit because he had obviously his injury problems last season. And then they've got George Abbott, who's a really, really good wonder kid from Spurs at 19 years of age. You can just rotate between each other, and they're really good to watch. And Maitriore, he gets 2 assists when he came on against Tranmere. So, that foreign recruitment from Notts, hopefully it can pay off, and Maitriore can come in January from, I think it's the Norwegian division.
Wimbledon, so hard, so frustrating to play against. They are typical League Two. I've said recently, Notts County are so glamorous to watch on the eye, brilliant goal scorers, and they are eye-catching. But Wimbledon are League Two, physical, hard to break down, good shape. You can get at them. Fleetwood got at them, had 16 corners, should have won that game 5 or 6 in my eyes. And it's the look you get when you're doing well. Wimbledon at this moment in time are doing well, in the division. And only Burnley, only Burnley, I've conceded more goals away than Wimbledon this year. Burnley have got 5, Wimbledon 12. Wimbledon 12 unbeaten, 6 wins, 6 draws. How often do I on this channel do I go win 1, win 1, draw 1? You get 2 points a game. It'll get you promoted, especially with 3 automatic promotion spots. And again, they are slowly getting there. They've got a good baseline. And again, it's going to be interesting. If they can just win their home games, which in recent years they've been up and down. I think they won 11 there. They've got 7 home games to go. If they can win 5 of them, I think they've got Notts County to come in a couple of weeks. They've got Bromley to come at home. They've got to go away at Morecambe, Cheltenham, Carlisle, Barrow. There's opportunities for points for them. It's in their hands if they can go and get points. Doncaster Rovers, talk to me about it. Owen Bailey is all you're going to talk about.
Well, that could be true because he's actually made 100. No, well, I'm just going to give Bailey, not a round of applause, but a praise because he joined the club last season from the non-league, took captain's armband, and he's already had 100 games in the EFL. So, that's remarkable. And against Atkinson, he won 16 duels out of 20. So, that he's a great presence in that midfield. I've banged the drum about him a lot. But then Jay McGrath broke through. I think the partnership between him and Oluwu has been decent. Oluwu can get forward on the overlap a couple of times this season. He's sort of an athletic figure. And then Jay McGrath, he don't shirk a tackle. He don't back out of anything. And for a 21-year-old who's sort of just coming through to the first team squad, it's good on him really to be that sort of tenacious in what he's doing and aggressive. And then, obviously Starman Luke Molyneux, he hasn't really got maybe the goals that he would have wanted, continuing from the start of the season. But then, if you look at from January the 18th, he scores against Gillingham, scores 2 away at Barrow. Against Chesterfield, where, it's not gone noticed because ultimately they get beat 5-2. But then, important assist against Morecambe early on. He got an assist against Grimsby, which obviously Doncaster lost. He won't get as much credit for that. And they brought in Rob Street in January, which Grant McCann said that he was going to bring in a marquee signing, but then he kind of played it off in the press that he didn't know he said that, but I think that was because they lost out Matty Craig to Mansfield. But from what Doncaster fans are saying, Rob Street has been an excellent loan for them, and Jordan Gibson, he can turn it on when he wants to. I think he's that kind of player on the left, and I think Doncaster will finish in the top three when you got Street, Ironside, and Sharp to rotate between in the front line.
Bradford City are flying. Valley Parade is rocking. Bradford City fans are singing as the Valleys are finally building something. This is their time, it feels. 9 wins on the bounce at home, 5 wins on the bounce without conceding, 3 goals conceded in their last 9 at home. Away from home, they've only won 4, which will be my nitpickle, but they are starting to win games of football. Nitpickle, what was that?
I was going to laugh, but then I just, played it off.
Which would be my little bit of gripes against them, but they are winning games of football at home. If you win games of football away and you draw, if you win games of football at home and you draw away, you get 2 points a game and you'll go up, promoted. It's as simple as that. Simplify it. Graham Alexander's sides aren't great to watch. They can be great to watch. The pressing and the heavy style of football, it can be great. They are winning 2-0. They will 1-0 their way out of this division. They'll occasionally win 2-0. And that's what Graham Alexander's sides are all about. His style has got to win games of football. I've said that for ages. It wasn't great at Scunthorpe. It wasn't great at Salford. It wasn't great at Fleetwood. But what he's got in common that he won many games. He got Fleetwood promoted. He got Salford promoted. He did a decent job at Scunthorpe where he got a couple of playoff, positions as well. Struggled, at Motherwell. Yeah, she's all right, I guess. But other than that, he'll get. And this is what Bradford need. Will they care how they play if they win games of football and get promoted? No. However, if you don't get promoted, there'll be questions asked. Bradford are a very, very patchy side where they go on great runs and then go on poor runs. And this has been maybe the little bit of a gripe. They should be 5 where they should be on XG, but it means nothing if you're winning games of football. This is their best chance now. Something is really brewing at that football club. They're at 60 points now, and they've got a gap on Wimbledon. I do think it's between those top 6, and I think Bradford City, the home form, how intimidating we've got to go there top of the league. We've got to go there last day of the season, and for a selfish point of view, I hope they can wait till the last day of the season to get promoted, because that would do my vlog very well. Thank you, Bradford City, if you can wait. Walsall, top of the table, won 20 games this year, 67 points. What do you make of them? Are they almost there?
They're going to win the league. I think I'm not trying to be disrespectful because I know a few people have actually said that they won't win the league. If you're going to say that they're going to bottle it now, no one's got a game in hand over them except from Wimbledon, but they're not going to win the league. Walsall aren't going to bottle this league. Maybe they've bottled the game against Cheltenham. Maybe they've only beat Morecambe 2-0. But this side, even though they've maybe, dropped off in the new year, the fans aren't getting, really wound up with them. They're still getting behind them, and the momentum and the togetherness, I think, will still be there at the club. And Ellis Harrison's a smart buy. I think, Jamat ultimately needs a partner with him.
It's a loan.
Ellis Harrison coming in on loan on, I think it was deadline day, actually, when he signed. That's a really good loan because Jamil Matt ultimately needs someone to partner him. That's how, he got the best out of Nathan Lowe, but that's also how Jamil Matt's, got the best out of himself recently. And Taylor Allen's still contributing, and you'll still get the same work ethic from the midfield three that they're complementary of each other. And I just think that the feel good factor will still be there at Walsall, and I just can't see anyone really putting up like so much of a good run to actually knock them off, because no one's put up 20-game run yet this season in League Two. There's still time, obviously. Doncaster did it last season, but I just don't think that Walsall can slip up that much to let any sides, overtake them because, like I said, they've got the field goal factor there. Still, they've got the togetherness. They're a tight group. They've, they don't rely on the ball too much. They've got creativity from the back. They've got hard workers in there.
I know they've started to lose a few games of football, and they've only won 2 of the last 8, drawn 3, lost 3. Don't get me wrong, it's still mid-table form. It's still okay, and that's all they needed to be. It was always going to take some time to adapt of low leaving, and I think that they've come together now. They're unbeaten in 4. They've got through the bad patch of such where, look, they lost 3 out of 4. Every team in this division will go on a 5-game bad patch at some period. You look at the top end, it just Tranmere, Morecambe, and Carlisle have been on a 33-game bad patch. We're going to finish the show and with predictions because the next time we do this will be about 8 games less, 8 games to go. We've not prepared for this. I'm not told we're going to do it. I've only made this up about 30 seconds ago. Bottom of the league, Morecambe.
I am giving in and I'm saying Morecambe. I've been all season, I've been thinking, not trying to be different, but Derek Adams there, but then you're just thinking Carlisle currently beating Barrow, big game. Carlisle are now doing it in the big games where they need results, and unfortunately, I think they're just going to drop out of the EFL.
23rd, Tranmere Rovers. I think Carlisle will stay up. I think Hughes is a decent manager. He's improving them. And I just think this squad will pull itself together and get enough points. If they do beat Barrow, look, they're only 2 points behind Tranmere with the same games played. And I think that they've got a better squad than Tranmere. And I think that if Carlisle go on a good run, all of a sudden it does bring in Harrogate, Aki and Gillingham again.
Same as me, 2 for 2. I think, Tranmere, I think it's too late for me. Even if they do appoint maybe Ryan Lowe or someone with that high caliber, if the takeover comes, I just don't think anyone can uplift them in this amount of time. They've got 13 games left of the season. At least give a manager maybe 20 at least.
I think we could be quite similar here, and we've not discussed this. 7th place. I'll let you go first for the top half.
Grimsby in 7th place. I think they've got the momentum. The front 2 is really clicking. I think everyone works hard for each other, and David Artell's got a promotion from this league before, so I think he'll be wanting to be competitive to finish in the top 7.
Do you think? When I watched them, they didn't really have the official conversations. That's not going in, by the way. 7th, Grimsby. Agree with you. I think that they've got spirit and they've got goal scorers. I like the squad, and I'd like to see somebody different go in it. Low budget, small playing squad, and a really good season. 6th place. Who you putting?
FC Wimbledon. I'm putting Wimbledon 6 because I think around them everyone's got decent away form, bar Bradford. But Bradford's an exception because they're top of the home form. Yeah. But I just think that Wimbledon, we could have beaten. If anything's to go off away from home, the poor. I don't know what minute Colchester got. Actually, hang on.
It was like the 89th.
No. No, never mind. It's the 93rd. No, I should have scored with 2 minutes to go.
89th. Was?
Oh, it said 93rd on mine. Anyway, we're starting, right? Yeah, that's when they scored.
What? What do you mean, Man?
I'm on about when Colchester. Yeah, I'm on about when Colchester.
Or Edwards. Yeah, 93rd.
Yeah. Right. Anyway. Yeah, so I think Wimbledon. Looking at the away record. Compared to the sides, around them, they haven't got as good as away record. Bradford's an exception because of top of the home form. But I just think, they've been really naive away from home. They're not creating enough. And that's just simply what I've seen, especially when they came Fleetwood, time wasting and all that. Fair enough. in the 85th minute. But when you're doing it from the 60th, and you can tell they really don't want to, lose. And then you're looking at the side, Bradford, they peppered us in the second half. Also came out and started playing. Doncaster beat us away. Notts County at the start of the season, they peppered us in that second half. So, and then Port Vale, I think, that's one of the most complete performances I've seen from a side in a full 90. So, yeah, I just think the away record and maybe being naive, that's why I think Wimbledon will finish sixth. But it's still a great job that Johnny Jackson's done this season.
It is, and hard to break down typical League Two side. I think we're going to have to pretty much straight the same here, because I've gone for Wimbledon in sixth for the same reasons. Fifth, I'll go first on this one. I have got Port Vale. I think Port Vale will finish there. I do think Vale would take a playoff spot. Too many draws this year. I do think they'll comfortably get in the playoffs. I think they'll be closer to the top three than kind of eighth place, if that makes sense. I like what they're about. I think that they've been hampered by injuries, especially in the midfield, and they've got a lot of quality in there. When you're looking at Byers, Harper, Crowsdale's fantastic, Garrity, Stockley's been in and out of the squad. Tollage the same. I think they'll get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they'll be fifth, and just I don't think I can put them any higher when maybe Byers or Garrity. It's one of the two are injured. Stockley's injured, and then also Pete. I mean, I said myself before the game against Notts County that was the first time we saw Garrity, Crowsdale, and Byers together, and they didn't live up to expectations. So it's really seeing, they got the quality them three, but in a partnership and a midfield three, are they all that together? Because that was actually, I think, the first or second time in a full 90 minutes we saw them, and they didn't live up to the expectation.
Fourth place, I've gone for Doncaster Rovers. I don't think they've blown me away too often this year, but they've often won games of football, and that's the League Two. You don't need to blow yourself away. Wimbledon haven't blown teams away. Salford at times haven't blown teams away. Grimsby haven't, but they often win games of football. You see them green on a Saturday, and it means 3 points closer to the playoffs. They've won 17 games. They scored 48 goals at 58 points. They're only 2 behind Bradford, and we're praising Bradford like mad because of recency bias. Doncaster have done it consistency now for 7 months, and that is the important thing. So for me, they'll miss out due to quality around them, but I think they'll get into the playoffs again. And look, Grimsby, they'll get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Doncaster will be fourth, and you look at that squad in the playoffs, because I think they will win the playoffs, especially if Vale don't get them players back. I think Doncaster will win because Billy Sharp will be up for it. Luke Molyneux will show his quality. Owen Bailey will run for 90 minutes. You look at the squad; they'll be hungry, and so will Grant McCann, especially when he comes out last season and says that we want to win the league. And I do think they'll go up, but through the playoffs, which on the back of last season, I don't think Doncaster will want to go into the playoffs because of all the momentum they had last season. But it would be nice for them because obviously me and Doncaster fans are like this.
Yeah. Third place, I've gone for Notts County. I think something about that football club scream will get in the top three. They won half the game this year, good away from home, strong defensively now, because he did 31. Much better than last year. Still scoring goals. Got Jody Jones, McGoldrick, Abbott to come back in. Austin to come back in as well. I think George Abbott's really impressed me this year as well. Got a strong squad. They're building a foundation. And with 14 games to go, I think Notts County will just have the edge on a Wimbledon, on a Doncaster, and on a Vale, and obviously and on a Grimsby as well.
Third, I'm going with Bradford.
Okay.
I think some games they'll need goals from the striker. Michael Mellon, I know he's coming just back up to fitness, but he's had 76, 78 minutes. So, if he doesn't start firing, then, we're not seeing Andy Cook for the rest of the season, unfortunately for them. Brad Halliday's not contributed, I don't think, enough with his assists and sort of creativity on the right this season. Ultimately, they've got a great defence, Bradford, and they've got really good depth. But also, you're thinking maybe could Sam Walker make a mistake, even though I think he made a man of the match save midweek. And yeah, I just think even though they're winning by 1-0, it's great, but then you're just thinking that the two sides above him can win by more, they can be more convincing, and you're just wanting that centre forward to step up for Bradford, which I kind of have question marks over due to Mellon coming back, to come into the business end of the season, which ultimately he's actually not experienced yet.
In terms of attacking metrics, Bradford are very mid-table, shots per target, goals per game, etc. The defensive stats, goals second best in the division, XG, top 6 side, clean sheets, top 7 side. They're good and they can win games 1-0 because of the quality they've got.
And that's why they'll finish in the top 3, because they can nick games 1-0, which I think Port Vale and Doncaster maybe can't.
And that's my reason why they're going to finish second, Jack. Who have you got second? I wonder who it could be.
Well, I've actually got Notts County. I'm sure it'll become a surprise to everyone. But yeah, like you said, Notts County, they've got the quality, around the pitch. And I think Stuart Maynard will just want to prove people wrong. I think fans at times, like, instead of wanting maybe different solutions on the pitch, they want it off the pitch and they want the manager out after maybe 5 games of not winning. They don't give managers enough time, especially when Notts County are demanding the way that they want to play off Stuart Maynard, who ultimately came from Wealdstone. And to me, Wealdstone don't seem like a club who want to, dominate the football like Notts County do. So I think, he's another remarkable manager this season for what he's done anyway. And, we say Bradford's defence, but also Notts County's defence has been very good at times too. I know that Bradford's defence has been better recently, but Notts County, they still have, good box defenders there. And ultimately, they want to put on a show on Saturday. Then they want to back it up against Barrow. So ultimately, I think it's actually achievable for Notts to win the next 3 away at our place, against Barrow at home, and then away at Wimbledon. Not many sides have gone to Wimbledon and got 3 points. I think only 2 sides, and for me, I think Notts County could be one of them. And yeah, I think they've just got that bit better quality there ahead of Bradford, and they've got a game in hand.
Walsall, top of the table, 20 wins this year, 63 goals scored. They've been fantastic, and when there's been doubts about them, everybody was wanting them to fail, slip up, been jealous of them. Jealous has been outstanding. Gordon, you look at Taylor Allen, one of the better players in this division. Barrett as well. He's a fantastic, core. They've had a togetherness. This isn't a squad built on a massive budget. Jamil Matt's got 11 goals. He struggled to even past 45 last year. Harrison's been a good signing. For me, I like the way they play. I like what they're about. And Matt Sadler, he's stayed loyal to the football club, and potentially after, they've struggled in this division for a few years now. I think this is year 6 in the division, and it could be 6th time looking. I think it is going to be 6th time looking. Look, they'll be thinking, well, 39 points to go. Can we go and break 100 points? It'll be a big ask.
Well, first place, I want to go for Fleetwood. So,
yeah.
But
can I just say, I think it's very disrespectful that us two, being Fleetwood fans, are talking about Walsall after we beat them 2-2.
Anyway, 25-26 I'm on about for Fleetwood. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're just warming up, aren't we?
Fleetwood just getting a load of fist bumps ready. He don't want to tire himself now. He wants to save at least, I'd say, 45 fist bumps for next season when, we go on a massive unbeaten streak. And then typical Fleetwood would probably lose on the final day. But, Walsall definitely top of the league. Taylor Allen, he's a creator at the back. Williams at the back, I think, is a great box defender. The midfield 3 will just all run for each other, which I really like, especially Jamie Jellis, people who maybe, question, does he want to stay at the club? He's actually said on social media that, he wants to stay with the club. He wants to work as hard as possible. And, like we said, Harrison, who's a good loan in the January to partner Jamil Matt. They've also got, I think, Amanchi that is also coming on from the bench. Danny Johnson has nicked games or at least contributed a few times this season, and they've got also Josh Gordon. So they've got quantity up front, which can pull them through, and a good defence and solid win backs for me. But I think, looking at Walsall wanting to fail, I think that's just the average fan in the league. But I think for Walsall, I think like a few, I had Newport and Salford in the bottom two of my predictions, and then I had Walsall 19th. So that's another one. I'll hold my hands up and say I got Walsall completely wrong. I didn't think where the goals have come from this season. I didn't think, all respect to Matt Sadler, I didn't think that he had maybe had it in him to go for a promotion push like he has this season. But they've done a magnificent job this season. They haven't been a flashy side to watch. They've just been direct, get balls into the box, and ultimately, they'll be thanking Nathan Lowe. But I think it's a bit of a lazy argument to say that it's just through Nathan Lowe, because all of the Walsall side have had a massive part to play this season.
100%. And you've got to get the ball to Nathan Lowe to score goals. Jack Kershaw, thank you for joining me, mate. Where can people go and find your stuff?
JK Analysis on Twitter. I do EFL coverage, not just Fleetwood stuff, which I'm sure people are really disappointed about. But I do analysis threads on any team that maybe you'd like to see. Just pop a DM, but also commented on anything EFL. So if you can come over on Twitter, JK Analysis 7, drop me a follow. I'd appreciate it.
And thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you drop a like and subscription if you enjoy the League 2 content as well. It is greatly appreciated. It's something that, we're both trying to grow as well. Thank you for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.